Fun Ideas Productions presents the Fun Ideas Podcast. Hi, this is Mark Arnold, and welcome to Fun Ideas Podcast number 12. Just a reminder, with the holidays coming, to order my books today from Amazon or Bear Manor Media. Today's guest is a major comic book fan and keeps up with the latest releases from Marvel and DC. Is there anything Marvel and DC Comics are publishing that is worth reading? Our special guest thinks so, and today he gives us his recommendations. Here he is, straight from the Batcave, pop culture historian Alan Bryan.
I'm a little surprised that two characters have been really different. Now, I don't, one is a character I've hated since its creation, and the other one is one I followed off and on since I was 5.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the latter, and I'll talk about the now immortal Hulk.
Okay.
Well, what they did was they killed the Hulk during Civil War II, which, who gives a crap? I mean, at the time, Civil War II was pretty bad.
Right.
They had tried a couple of things with the Hulk, like, Bruce Banner working for S.H.I.E.L.D., and they've sort of got him under control. There was one silly sequence where after a mission, to change him back into Banner, they unload they parachute down a cargo of puppies. You can't make it up, so they parachute down a cargo of puppies, the puppies turn him back to Banner, and he goes back to the lab and does his thing again.
Right.
So, and then they get to the point in Civil War II where they say, I haven't been to Hulk for a year. And I'm fine, but then Hawkeye kills him anyway. Spoiler! And then Hawkeye has a trial, he gets off because, I don't know, supposedly Banner said, well, if you think I'm changing into the Hulk, kill me. And Hawkeye, from whatever distance it was, said, so look green in those eyes, I'd take the shot. Well, move up a couple of years, last year's, or earlier this year, I don't know, time frame-wise, but the Avengers did a 12-part series called Avengers No Sanctuary or something. And it was not the best story. It brought in a character that was reminiscent of Triumph, that the Justice League had a couple 20 years ago, and, there's a member that we've had since the start, but she's been inserted into the history, that sort of thing. I don't remember her name. I don't care. That's not the point. Later in the story, the Grandmaster or his brother revived the Hulk as, to help with their game that they're playing. So the Hulk is alive again. And you're like, where's this going to go? And then they start the Immortal Hulk. And that's where it gets really different.
Is that so they won't continue to kill him? Is that where this is all leading?
No, well, let me say, okay, first off, the book doesn't start out like, there's no supervillains. Okay, really up to this point, anybody who hasn't read The Immortal Hulk and wants to read it, you better stop listening. Oh, damn, Mark, I just killed your audience.
Oh, spoiler alert. Okay. No, we don't do spoiler alerts because you can always press stop and listen to it at a later time if you.
Later, listen to it later after you've read issues 1 through 8.
Yes.
Okay, so the Hulk is really Banner's wandering around, and now he turns into a Hulk only at night. This goes back to the original Hulk in the 60s when Stan and Jack created him. The Hulk became the Hulk at night, and he was gray.
Right.
Now he's Hulk at night, and he's green. Okay, and what he's doing is Banner goes to a bar somewhere or a restaurant, and he finds out if anybody in town is being bad or has been wronged or needs revenge, and then he takes revenge on those who have wronged somebody. Whether it's a biker gang selling drugs who's terrorizing somebody, or it's a father who sort of tortured his son with powers or gave him powers which killed him, and these sort of things where but then Banner as the Hulk takes them out, he does it kind of, he's not obvious about it, and it's night, and he's not, and they're so scared, they think it's the Hulk, they're not sure it's the Hulk because it's dark. So he does that a couple of times. And, there's a reporter who's picking up on this, and she wants to find the Hulk. So she's looking hard also.
Yes.
Then in steps another character that we haven't seen much of, and I really don't care for him, but the retconned former college roommate of Bruce Banner, Arthur Lankowski, also known as Watch. Oh boy. So apparently, he got his powers the same way through gamma radiation, only he doesn't turn green. And when he got his powers, he also opened some kind of dimensional portal that brought in some kind of elder god thing or some force of nature that also was part of his deal. Well, he gets involved with the Hulk because they have the same gamma signature. Ends up, the Hulk takes away his ability to change. But there's another thing going on here. And that's the Hulk's father is somehow might have been merged with the spirit of whatever was Lankowski had. I don't know. Hulk's father is haunting him. Hulk's real dad is haunting him. And that's not, we're not sure where that's going.
Right.
Then, of course, here come the Avengers. Because Captain Marvel, who is the one who got involved with Lankowski, because she's part of Alpha Flight, or the satellite called Alpha Flight, and she brings in the new Avengers, which that's a curious thing in itself. And they have to pull out all the stops. And Iron Man has to do some kind of beam from satellite, reminiscent of that episode of Justice League on TV. It was a beam from satellite to take out the Hulk. And they take him out. And then they dissect him. And he's in jars in this lab. And Captain Marvel doesn't know where he is. Even the Avengers and Captain Marvel have no idea where they've taken him. And there's some guy who has a prison record, but he's a scientist, and he's trying to figure out, what makes the Hulk tick, and they take his heart in half, and then it even beats separated. I don't know. It's Marvel science. What do you want?
Right.
They make the Hulk dead. His disembodied hand snaps its fingers. The jars all shatter. The Hulk reassembles itself like some kind of Lovecraftian monster, absorbs the scientist, and then disappears. And that's where we are till the next issue. Now, I got to say this. The battle between the Avengers and the Hulk, that was good. Because the Hulk actually knocked out one of Thor's teeth. Of course, Thor isn't as powerful as he used to be.
Right. I've heard that, yeah.
Hulk is very, very, very powerful. Let's just say that. And now he can't be killed. Even dismembered, he comes back together. So that's made the story super, super interesting because not Peter David, not John Byrne, not anybody else has ever really done the Hulk in this fashion. Because this Hulk isn't quite mindless. And he's not, but he's not Banner either.
Right.
He's, I'd say, Ben Grimm on a bender smart. You like that one, huh?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, yeah. I can...
And so he knows what he's doing. When he goes after these bad guys and does the revenge thing, he knows what he's doing. And the thing is, he's following the lead Banner created. Banner goes to these small towns, finds out who the evil person is, wherever it happens to be. He might go to 3 towns and find, somebody doing wrong. And then the Hulk at night remembers, hey, I've got to go after somebody that Banner found. And he does it. And then in the morning he's Banner again, and that's how it works. Now, in the latest issue, when he transformed back into Banner, it was kind of grotesque, because it wasn't, the way they drew it was like he was all stretched out monster reminiscent of From Beyond or something. That's good movie on Blu-ray. So, again, Lovecraftian based. So, I gotta say the Hulk is shockingly interesting for 8 issues so far. It's almost reminiscent of a kind of, I'm not going to throw him on the level of Alan Moore, but it reminds you of when Alan Moore did something different with Swamp Thing or Miracle Man, or or when Priest really took Black Panther in the right direction, or when Mark Waid was doing some good Daredevil, or that's the kind of thing that you say, like, wow, okay, this is better than Thunderbolt Ross chasing him around the country and destroying 600 tanks every other day. It's not quite the same thing. And actually, Thunderbolt Ross has a new mission: destroy Captain America. But that's a whole other story. So now I'm going to bring up Venom, because I read this because I had nothing else to read, and it was literally, and I have never liked the character. Not even when Flash Thompson was Agent Venom in Secret Avengers. Okay there, but and now, spoiler alert again, but anybody who read Spider-Man 700, I guess it was, probably knows Flash Thompson is dead. Dead. Real dead.
Yes.
The Venom symbiote escaped and found Eddie Brock again. And Brock's been having these nightmares about Norse gods and Beowulf and strange things. Well, it turns out a guy shows up, says he's part of another sequence. There was a super soldier program that dealt not with potions and Vita rays and all that, but with pieces of Venom symbiote that were given to soldiers, and they've been doing secret Venom soldiers for centuries. Hey, who knew? Major retcon, right? And then Brock goes on a mission for this guy whose name is Strickland, and they're transporting these other 4 friends of Strickland's, and they're like pieces and they're killed, and then this dragon flies off. It's a Venom with dragon wings.
Okay.
His name would be Null, and there is no real planet of the symbiotes. That was actually a cage. And Thor had beaten Venom back in the days of the Norse gods, and the whole Venom isn't something that Spider-Man happened to find in the Secret Wars thing, but Venom has been on Earth for centuries.
Yeah.
Centuries. Other Venom creatures. And there's this complicated history that Null existed. The Celestials created the universe, and then Null fought the Celestials and killed one, and then made a Necrosword, and it goes from there. I say read those 8 issues, and you'll be surprised. And Miles Morales shows up in issue 3 and 4, which is kind of good. And but Eddie Brock has to fight this creature, who is Null, and who is the Lord of the God King of the symbiotes. He seems incredibly powerful. Now the first 6 issues are standalone and very good. Issues 8 kind of take you out of it because another artist steps in, and also the tone changes. And then they bring in a character that I cannot stand and I wish was dead 10 times over.
Which is?
The Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, also known as the Maker.
Yeah.
Like him. And he shows up, and see, there was a little bit of God. See, they put the God King symbiote in a furnace. Venom did. Venom, who had also absorbed Strickland, they put him in this giant blast furnace, team that, knows how to reclaim symbiote pieces. This is retcon-ish, You have to say, okay, we're retconning the whole Venom thing. Okay, fine, all right, fine. There is no planet of the symbiotes, whatever. But if you just want to say, I'm reading a good story and I don't know any of that previous history, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they steal that little bit of the God King and they're going to give it to somebody we haven't seen in a while. And at the end of issue 8, there's Cletus Cassidy in some kind of capsule that has a nuclear waste symbol on it, and he is this cult's God, and they're going to merge him with the little bit of God King, because any little bit of symbiote, when it's passed on, like what they did was, to fight the God King, they found a little bit of Flash Thompson in a SHIELD facility, and then Eddie Brock absorbed the little bit of Flash Thompson symbiote, and then Flash Thompson is alive again and taking control of Eddie Brock's body, while Eddie's in there and Rex Strickland's in there. Mm-hmm. It's getting very crowded, So it's like Dead Man Cubed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, and so Flash Thompson is still around in a sense, just his essence, his memories are around inside Eddie Brock. Mm-hmm. And, but Carnage is apparently going to be brought back to life with the little bit of God King symbiote that's left over. So no, I hate the character Carnage. Maybe they can make him better, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
If I saw a book with Carnage in it, I brought out, every religious artifact I ever owned and held it up and then walked away because I don't like the character. Just like really never liked the Venom book either. Mm-hmm. But something I read on a blurb somewhere said Venom was a little different, so I gave it a chance. And that and Immortal Hulk have been pretty darn interesting. So I give them credit for doing something different. Mm-hmm. With these two characters that hasn't been done before. You don't see that a lot. Now, yeah, there's retcons going on. There's in one place, and there's new powers going on in another. But what else can you do? I mean, these characters have been around 40 years. You got 40 for the Hulk, and I don't know, 25, 30 for Venom. I don't really keep count because I don't like him, but. Mm-hmm. Instead of being a one-note Johnny, Venom wants to destroy Spider-Man. Venom wants to destroy Spider-Man. Well, now it's a little different.
Well, on Hulk, aren't you? You said 40. Where are you starting from? Because isn't it more like 55?
50, yeah, it goes back.
Okay.
53,
okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
8 years. Yeah. 58 years, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize for my time frame in the Hulk. Now, yes, when I started with the Hulk, it was 66 or 67.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it comes before that.
Okay, because you were talking about Grey Hulk and Lee and Kirby and everything, so it's like, gotta go to the beginning.
Listening, I was wrong on my timeline there.
Okay, cool.
But you have, if you're going to put out a book, you have to come up with something a little different.
Yeah.
There is still, She-Hulk is still around and immensely powerful. She's over in Avengers. Mm-hmm. Amadeus Cho is still a Hulk, but I don't follow. He's in a book called Champions. I don't follow him very much. Thaddeus Ross was the Red Hulk, but he's not right now, and I don't know if he's lost that ability or not. Betty Banner was the Red She-Hulk, and I think she's lost that ability or been taken away. For a while, there were way too many Hulks.
Yes.
They just could have formed and done a sitcom, and all stick to the house, and break the couch every time.
Right.
They break the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
They run into the house, and the house just shatters when they sit down. That's how it would be.
Right.
Simpsons Hulks, yeah. That's what the Simpsons need to do. Make each one of them a Hulk and run in and sit on the couch and have the whole city fall apart.
There you go. Simpsons smash.
Yeah, just opening sequence of the Simpsons. Great. Mm-hmm. All that greening, and tell them, make everybody a Hulk, and then when Maddie jumps on the sofa, the whole town collapses.
On these newer issues that you're actually liking the writing on, who are the writers on them, on the Hulk and on the Venom and everything like that?
Oh, I'll have to give me a moment to pull that up, and I'll tell you. And then so we have that information, because they're not people I'm familiar with,
okay.
And that's, so they're getting somebody new doing something, and it's not the old favorites or anything like that. Nobody bothered to bring Roy Thomas back.
Right. But I mean, that's refreshing, because for years everybody's saying, "Oh, Marvel, what are they doing? They're doing this and that, another, wars or something, Civil War, Secret Wars, whatever. It's not as good as it used to be," and that's what the general consensus you hear about Marvel. But you've heard that for the last 30 years, so it's like, if there's actually some good writing out there again, it's like that's probably a good sign, I would think.
Marvel did the last Secret Wars, which I thought was just the worst thing I'd ever read. It looked beautiful in parts, but it was terrible. The guy writing Venom is a guy named Donny Cates.
Okay.
Ever heard of him?
No, okay. I haven't, unfortunately. So.
Who that is?
Okay.
Iban Coelho was the artist on the first 6 issues.
Okay.
Now it's it still says he's the artist, but it doesn't. The art looks different, and I said the art was different, but this is the same artist, but it looks something is inker.
Was it a different inker? Yeah, that could change things. Or, I mean, an artist can easily change his style too. So, but I would.
Maybe I thought no, it's the same people, I guess. Okay, I take that back. It's the same artist and writer on all 8.
Okay.
But it looked different to me on 7 and 8. Had a different look and feel. I think it's because they went from nighttime and back alley and rain to some kind of shield-like facility and lab, and
This is Hulk. This is Hulk, or this is Venom? Which one are you referring to?
Danny Coates was the Venom.
Okay, because you think the art style might have changed it differently, just because you said there was a story arc and they completed that, and so it allowed them the freedom to adjust the art style somewhat?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's typically what they could have happened there.
Okay.
Maybe it might have been just a... Now, the Hulk is written by Al Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is. It's Al Ewing, and that's the credit on the art, and the penciler is Joe Bennett. Mm-hmm. The inker is Roy Jose, R-U-Y Jose. I don't know these people. Alex Ross did the cover of Immortal Hulk 1 for all those Alex Ross collectors out there. At least did one of the covers. Mm-hmm. There's probably 10 variants. Who knows?
Right.
I don't do variants. I can't speak to that. Right. So there was that, and but that's 2 things that I want to bring up that I thought this is actually pretty cool, and I did enjoy these stories, and I read all. I actually, as I'm reading these, it's good when A, you're remembering the story, and B, you can't wait till the next issue.
Yeah.
And now, having said that, I'll give you something that's really frustrating me to no end, and that's Submariner, Namor, 1 each. Right now, I don't know what Marvel continuity is doing, but they've really got some problem here, especially with the X-Men timeline, because Uncanny X-Men came out, and, it's got like 24 X-Men in the book. There's a cast page with 24 X-Men, and some are getting, something's going on. But that's not what I want to talk about here. Recently I did storylines of X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold, and X-Men Red.
Right.
X-Men Red was primarily a Jean Grey team.
Mm-hmm.
Jean Grey, who had gotten Namor, a new character called Trinary, who somehow controls and manipulates computers and technology, and X-23 and her sister. Well, here's the thing. She recruited Namor. She recruited Namor to help because she was trying to help humanity and the whole world. And Namor, he went along and he's wearing a dark green base suit with a red X on the belt buckle. Okay. He's a member of Jean Grey's X-Men Red. He's even had a cover. Issue 7, I think, a cover. And then Avengers 9 comes out, or $6.99, depending on which you want to look at it, Legacy 700. But like issue $6.99, guess what? There's Namor, looking a little younger, but he's still the same guy from what we know from dialogue in 700, in a black outfit with no references to X-Men Red, fighting the Avengers over some, humans messing with my oceans again thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Namor's still over in X-Men Red fighting Cassandra Nova, and now you've got him over here fighting the Avengers, and Avengers the same month in Avengers 700. Hello?
Wow.
You wonder, how do you get from one to the other?
Right.
Plus, Uncanny X-Men storyline started, and they still haven't wrapped up X-Men Red storyline. Came about to reintroduce Jean Grey. She's alive again. And do a Cassandra Nova storyline, which they did not that long ago with another X-Men storyline. I forget which one, because the X-Men have been doing for the last couple of years now is they start a title, they run it for 12 to 15 or 24 issues depending, as one line, and then they cancel it, and then they start another one. That's where you got Red, Blue, and Chartreuse and all that. Are the stories good? X-Men Blue, I can't remember what the heck that really accomplished. I can't remember. X-Men Gold had the only thing you remember about X-Men Gold is Kitty and Metal Guy were going to get married, and then they didn't. And then suddenly, French Thief and Rogue get married, and now they're in a book called Mr. and Mrs. X, which I refuse to read because of the stupid title. Mr. and Mrs. X, Rogue and Gambit. Oh, God, I said his name. Oh, God. I say it 3 times, he'll appear and steal my wallet. So,
right.
So, X-Men are frustrating in that respect. X-Men Red, I actually enjoyed the storyline. I did enjoy the book with a team led by Jean Grey, who was, that was actually pretty good. Now, X-Men Blue and Gold, not so much. X-Men Black has been a series of one-off stories, some written by Claremont, so that's okay. The Avengers storyline of recently, well, they fought the Celestials again because of Loki. And then Loki's talking to the Celestials somewhere in, I don't know, and then Wolverine shows up, and he apparently knows the Celestials because one of them gives him a thumbs up. How this ties in with Wolverine in the Return of Wolverine, I have no idea. It doesn't make any dang sense. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, do you think they're trying for less continuity nowadays and just trying to tell little story arcs, and they don't really give a damn whether they make sense or not, or do you know?
I don't know what they're doing because Infinity War, the current Infinity War series started out with Wolverine carrying the blue Infinity Stone. Then he gave it to Black Widow, and then next thing you know, Wolverine is in the Return of Wolverine. There's been 2 or 3 issues, and he's trying to rescue this kidnapped kid, and it's not been very interesting. And then in Avengers 700, Loki tricked the Celestials to go after the Avengers and Earth or something, but it didn't make much sense what he was trying to accomplish with it, but the Avengers managed to defeat the Celestials. And, well, that you have to read, but in that, this is where it got really silly, okay? Iron Man made a suit that was really, really big and made him, like Godzilla tall, okay? Okay, She-Hulk and Thor go to Asgard and eat the egg of some creature, from the ice, from the frost giants, and that makes them really, really big. And when they were even going to get the egg in this, deep freeze that Odin has in his basement next to his vegetable chamber, the cold was affecting Thor. She-Hulk, who is somehow more gamma-powered than any gamma creature ever, gave Thor a kiss that warmed him up, and now they're dating, or at least Thor wants to date She-Hulk. So after they eat this egg, they get the giant size. So you've got giant size Iron Man, She-Hulk, and Thor. Then the current Ghost Rider went inside a dead Celestial form and made it and animated that so it's a giant Ghost Rider. So now you had giant-sized Avengers fighting the Celestials.
Wow.
Yeah, giant-sized Avengers. Oh, call back to the 70s, anyone? Yes?
Is Giant Man in there anywhere?
It was actually very funny, and I know we need a giant-sized man thing, too.
A giant-sized man thing. Anyway.
Yeah. And, it was actually very, very humorous and very well done. And at the end, Loki gets a little comeuppance or something. But then Loki's in this, in 700, I didn't read this very thoroughly, I admit, because it was annoying me, because the pages were sideways and such. And he's with these Celestials, and then Wolverine shows up and starts talking about some, something's coming, but we'll handle it. We got it. We dealt with worse before, But what's Wolverine doing there? And he actually says something to a Celestial, like I said before. He gives him a thumbs up, and I'm like, okay, when did Wolverine become the... What? Oh, shit, my head hurts, I know you want to bring Wolverine back, but come on. First off, he's a prisoner of... Can't say her name. Persephone... Help me with this. Persphone. I can't say it right.
Persophones?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Prisoner of her, somehow. And then he escaped, and then he's trying to help this research scientist whose son was kidnapped by AIM or Hydra or something. I don't know. It's just so stupid. It's not really... the Return of Wolverine so far is probably the worst thing I've seen lately.
Wow.
I don't like Marvel 2-in-1 and Fantastic Four either, but Return of Wolverine is not... There was one series in that actually was pretty good. There was they did 4 separate miniseries to try to find Wolverine. And 4. And they had different teams in each one. And I gotta say, there was one that was actually pretty good, and that was Hunt for Wolverine, that featured Daredevil, a new Inhuman character who was a former New York detective, Misty Knight, and Cypher, who used to be in the New Mutants and who is alive again. Cypher was actually a good character in that. Of course, it's kind of, he'd been on the internet too long, and he was kind of like, I don't know, he was too, he was like Shaggy after too many bog hits. He had overdosed on the internet, and Cypher hadn't eaten days and needed a shower and that sort of thing. Then there was another storyline they did. They did 4 of these, and two of them I don't want to talk about much, but Adamantium Agenda was another good one. But all it did, and you want to say, like, why didn't they ever do this before? They actually have a scene where they have to go to this island because there's Mr. Sinister has some DNA stored there. Turns out the DNA of either every mutant and every human being ever. But he actually gives Spider-Man, X-23, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage Iron Man armor for the mission. They all have their own suits of armor. In issues 3 and 4, and they kick butt. Now, wait a minute. If you could just pop up suits of armor for these 4 characters on a whim, why didn't you ever do that for the other Avengers? Hawkeye might not be dead, might not have died, and Avengers disassembled.
Right.
Really? You're now making them you can give anybody armor? This is not been mentioned in the Avengers, and Black Panther still runs around in his underwear, or maybe it's his, I don't know, his yoga suit. I don't know what you call it. You know, but you gave Jessica Jones Iron Man armor. You gave Spider-Man costume-looking Iron Man armor. You gave Luke Cage a golden suit. Remember, he used to wear the yellow shirt.
Right.
I mean, it hurts the head. The only thing wrong with Jessica Jones's armor is it's half purple, and I'm thinking, wait, don't you remember the Purple Man stuff, dude? I don't think she likes the color purple. But yeah, and that's the weird part. But they all have. And what do they do with it after this series? Don't they just go home and I've got that Iron Man armor, back at the house. I can wear that if I need it to go on this mission.
Right. Yeah. I mean, is that going to be continuity from now on, that every time they go out they have it as a backup plan or just to wear it?
It's even weirder because not only did they give Luke Cage a set of armor,
well,
they gave him a wrecking ball to a mace. They gave him a golden mace. So yeah, it was actually kind of interesting, and I liked it, but I just wish, I'd like to see more of this. I would like to see a whole team of them in Iron Man armor. Yeah, it would be kind of cool. But, they did it once for a miniseries that really didn't make any dang sense to begin with. And, now the other 2 series, I don't want to talk about Claws of the Killer. That was horrible. But I mentioned the other 2, but Mystery and Madripoor did bring back one thing. It put Psylocke back in her original body. Don't ask why, drink Bud Dry, but, pop culture reference. And, so Psylocke is no longer an Asian body. Okay, well, that's done. Did it really make a difference? I don't know. Marvel fans, maybe. I can't tell you. Was anybody saying put Psylocke back in her original body? Oh, and now she has new telekinetic weapons. She doesn't have that blade anymore that she always was shoving at people's foreheads. Now she has sword and shield, her new telekinetic weapons. Yes.
Did they explain that change, or no?
No, she just created them because she wanted something different.
Interesting.
She's done that before. I mean, you always had to use the same weapon. You couldn't just say, hey, I need something else for this situation. Maybe a shield would be better, or a sword, or a Gatling gun or something. But, yeah, it's just one scene where she pops up and says, this gives me a chance to use my new telekinetic weapons. I'm like, and that was an Uncanny One, by the way. So, it's just, you're going like, just thought of doing this? Really? You couldn't have created a different weapon before? You always had to use your old side blade, you know? I don't... my head hurts.
Do you think things like this will be explained in the future, or is it just like just a loose end, and it's just like, okay, that's where we're at? I take it no.
Even though you see the occasional letter pages in some comic books, I don't think you're ever going to see real explanations of this sort of thing coming up. Oh, you just see a character saying, you know, this gives me a chance to use my new telekinetic whatever, and that's about it. And, you know, you just, that's all you can say. Because that's all that happens. And you, all she says is this, you know, she just says, that's bloody wonderful. At least you all get to test drive my new telekinetic weapons. Suddenly she has a purplish white long sword and shield, you know, to go with her now purple again hair because she's in her original body. She doesn't have a costume on. Not a lot of them aren't in costume in this issue, but even Jean Grey isn't. It's a long story. They went somewhere in civilian guise, and then things got bad. I gotta say, the end of Uncanny One is kind of a big mystery, and it's interesting. So, you know, but that's spoiler alert. But I'm not gonna say anything about the ending of that. The last 2 pages, the big reveal, which isn't a reveal. It's not a full reveal. It's a partial thing, you know. But is the Uncanny One any good? I don't know. You know, you're wanting to throw all the X-Men back in one puddle again because you got, in this issue, you have 5, 10, 15, literally 20 X-Men. And, okay, some of them are like the so-called students, you know, Armor, Rock Slide, Anole, Glob, you know,
right.
The ones you don't. And I think this might be one of the. I think they left out a page where Cannonball says I'm invulnerable when I'm blasting. I mean, I thought that was in a contract somewhere. They have to write that in every issue. You know, I'm vulnerable when I'm blasting. Yes, we know that. Well, if you've ever read an X-Men comic and Cannonball's in it, he has to say that.
Well, they're coined phrases, as it were. So.
It's just something you always hear, and it's really kind of strange, but yeah.
It's kind of interesting telling me this because it's like, you know, it seemed like Marvel, especially in the, you know, long past, but, you know, even the more recent past, you know, they always prided themselves about having strict continuity and everything like that, and making sure everything kind of made sense.
No, there's not been a strict continuity for a decade now, I would say.
Oh, okay. And, you know, the lack of continuity is more of an old DC thing. It's kind of like they've gone in each other's place, you know.
DC has no continuity right now either, because Batman has all his bones broken and is in a body cast and wheelchair, but in Batman and Detective he's still fine. You know, they haven't shown him in the Bat books as being, messed up.
Okay.
So, you know, they don't. There's not the history isn't crossing over to the other books, because you're looking at Batman. He's going after the KG Beast again.
Yeah.
And you're looking at Justice League, and he's, you know, still in this crazy metallic wheelchair because when he was miniaturized inside Superman's body, Lex Luthor, in the totality, somehow broke his arms and legs. broke like everything, and so he was going to be laid up for months. Of course, he's recovering from it. I mean, they don't. It's not like they're, it's not like. And I refuse to read the story about the guy that did that to Batman, but that I didn't like Nightfall and all that. No, I'm one of the weird guys. If I don't like what the storyline or the writer, I will not buy the book. Collection be damned. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if there's a 30-issue gap in my collection, because Scott Lobdell or Chuck Austen or somebody was writing it. I don't care. I hate their writing. I'm not going to buy. It's just like, okay, if I have a movie.
Mm-hmm.
If I like the movie, I'm not, it's like, I know people that own every Criterion film ever put out.
Right.
Well, that's fine, but I don't like every Criterion, so I only own about 350 of them. I'm not going to buy the other 700 films I don't like.
Right. Well, there's people that have everything complete, It's like, I can't have a gap in my collection.
I understand. Yeah, I understand completists, because I will, if somebody puts out something I like, I will buy it. But if you put out something I don't like, say, for example, Star Trek V. I don't like it. But I bought a box set of all 6 films on Blu-ray, and it happens to be in that box set.
Yeah.
Will I ever watch it again? No, I saw it once, and I'm still sitting over there. Now, will I give it away? No, I want my box set to stay intact.
Right.
But I'm not going to watch that film.
Yeah.
You can't avoid owning an album or a movie because you buy the box, and it comes in that box, and you're saying, well, it's there, but I'm not gonna watch that. When you buy I think I got a set of Die Hards. Am I gonna watch Die Hard 4 again? Probably not, but it's in the set of 4 films,
Yeah.
Or Die Hard 2 even. Well, I don't think I'd want to go there. So you have, but with comic books, I remember the first time I did this. It had a great cover. It had Wolverine, Black Widow, and Captain America on the cover, and now you're going to retcon and say they met in World War II. I said, that's it. I'm done. I bought that issue. I think I bought that issue. I was going to buy it, but I told my dealer I wasn't interested in it, and he said, well, buy something in place of it, and I did, and I stopped X-Men at that point until Age of Apocalypse, and that was a few years.
Right.
But that's because you're going to tell them now, yeah, Black Widow wasn't adult Black Widow in that story, but still, you're really retconning Black Widow to the extreme here by saying she was a young kid in World War II, and Wolverine and Captain America were hanging out back then. Mm-hmm. Beautiful cover, terrible idea.
Now, how do you know when a series gets good again? Do you periodically just look into it and say, has it changed? Has it moved on from that storyline, or what? Or word of mouth with other fans? What do you do typically?
I just read an issue or two of number 1, number 2, and then I'll see. If it reads well, then I know.
Okay. Because there's some people that, you like, I've even done this. It's like you just stop reading a title and you never come back to it because it's like, I'm just kind of over it or whatever,
I agree with that. I've done, there's some titles I just can't go back to, and, I haven't been back to Wonder Woman since George Perez because no one's done really what I thought was a good Wonder Woman since then. Mm-hmm. And they really just toss that character under the bus whenever they can with crazy ideas and notions. Mm-hmm. It's like when she killed Max Lord. That wasn't even resolved. In her book, it was resolved in Manhunter's title.
Wow.
That was, whether or not, the World Court was going to hold her accountable for the killing Max Lord. Yeah, she went to, oh God, I can't remember her name, but there was a woman who got a Manhunter suit for a while. It was a really good series, but I haven't read it in 10 years or longer. And she hired that person who was a lawyer to be and take her case, and she got, Brian Cronin wrote about this recently in CBR, so, and she took the case, and Wonder Woman got resolved of it, but it wasn't in a Wonder Woman book, it was in a Manhunter title. It's one of those, where was this resolved at, And it was resolved in an X-Mutants miniseries,
No.
Well, okay, we all know, Jason Todd's Revival. It was done in a Batman annual, for one thing, and Superboy was punching reality, and it was shown in a Batman annual, and Jason Todd came alive. Not a Batman regular series, not something else, or a Superboy book, or a Superman book. It was a Batman annual. Okay, and if you hadn't read that Batman annual, where are you going to see it at the time? Because they didn't really talk about it much. And when they reference it, they say Superboy did it, but you say, where did he do it? Because they don't give you a little asterisk and say, this was in Batman Annual X, Y. They didn't do that. So unless you happen to get that, and I don't remember which Batman Annual it was right now, you'd have to Wikipedia it probably. I don't remember. I didn't intend to talk about that. But
doesn't matter.
I said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Reality, and Jason Todd comes back to life in a coffin. Of course, they had to throw him in the Lazarus pit to get his mind back, but Lazarus pits.
Interesting the reason they would do that in that regard. I mean, instead of a regular title, because, that's kind of like, a dead end when you're doing just kind of a one-shot like that. It's kind of...
They do that a lot. Those giant-sized X-Men we briefly referenced in joke and passing earlier.
Right.
There were lines that were wrapped up in, they do a storyline in an Avengers book and then wrap it up in a giant-sized X-Men. So, budget could afford giant-sized X-Men, or if it appeared in your area, you knew the resolution of that. But if you wasn't on your radar and you weren't buying that title because it was 35 cents instead of 15 or 20, you didn't get it. So,
right.
That's what Marvel was doing for a while, and it was not the best way to handle a storyline.
Yeah.
It's like Marvel's done this before, They do a story and then they resolve it in an annual. Say, now read X-Men Annual XYZ.
Yeah. That used to frustrate me all the time on comics. It's like, it's like I'm reading a storyline and it's resolved in this other title that you never read. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to read that title. Yeah. They're doing something like that with this thing with with the Drowned World right now in DC, which is a storyline I don't want to talk about, but they had a book called Aquaman and the Justice League #1. Then they had a book called Justice League and Aquaman #1. I'm not making that up. Wow.
And then they did the same thing with Wonder Woman. They were doing a story about witches, saying that some witch goddess back in a million years ago had branded Diana with you can't see the brand in her head. So the book was called Justice League Dark and Wonder Woman, The Witching Hour #1. Then there was another book called Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark, The Witching Hour #1.
How do you keep an audience with this? I don't know. I don't understand that type of logic.
Well, they have into the book, now go read these.
Okay, so they at least announce it at the back of the book, but I mean, even still, because of the nature of the way comic books are marketed, it's like you have to look at previews and know to get that 3 months in advance or something.
But it confused me because I was reading the story and I'm like, where's this other part? Because it says it's part 1 and part 2 and part 4, and I'm like, where's part 3? And you have to buy Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark, not Justice League Dark and Wonder Woman. You see? Stop. And they did the same thing with the Drowned World. You have a book called Justice League and Aquaman, or how was it done again? It's Justice League, Aquaman, Drowned Earth 1, then you have Aquaman, Justice League, Drowned Earth 1. Yes, you can't make this stuff up because this is stupid. And your head hurts because I don't figure out where the next chapter is in something. And then Drowned Earth gets even worse because it's also in Titans and Aquaman And, Marvel does give you a checklist in the back of Spider-Geddon or Infinity Wars where all these books are. DC gives you a little blurb on the last page, and if you miss it, you missed it, so you don't know where to go next. So it's not quite as helpful.
I wonder how they do that, as far as both Marvel and DC as publishers. I mean, are they listening to reader feedback, or are they just doing things on a whim? I mean, I wonder how they decide to put out and market their titles at this point. I mean, because I know comic books seem to be declining in sales every single year, and it certainly couldn't be good for it to increase sales if you're doing something so slipshod and chaotic. It seems like I don't know.
It's even worse with with the Spider-Man thing going on. You got Spider-Geddon going on right now, which is not very good. I don't care for it very much. The only thing that came out of Spider-Geddon that I thought was kind of weird was a character called Man-Spider, and I'll come up with him in a second. But look at the titles you got out of this. You got Vault of Spiders, you got Spider-Geddon itself, you've got the new Ghost Spider, which was Spider-Gwen, you got Spider-Girls #1, you got Spider-Force. You had X-Force, and I don't know, now you had to have Spider-Force. But they created a character called Man-Spider. And this book, Vault of Spiders, has some very stupid spider characters. I don't want to get into all the other ones. But Man-Spider is probably the interesting one because it's basically deals the whole origin of Swamp Thing from Alan Moore. Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy go to Horizon Labs, and they look in this pit, and Peter says, "Are those?" And then the Horizon Labs guy says, "Spiders, my boy, part of a new genetic experiment in genetic alteration. We've been bombarding them with a variety of radioactive particles." Now, he's leaning on a railing over this pit that has millions of spiders in it, and it supposedly has radiation, but it's a railing, and somehow, and then Gwen says, "Spiders, I hate spiders," and then somehow, Peter, the railing breaks, Peter falls through the glass. You'd think it'd be harder glass, right? And is powered by the spiders, and the spiders then, they don't show how, but at some point later, all these spiders then put on a Spider-Man costume and become Man-Spider. Now, they don't show how he gets a costume or anything like that. They do show at one point where his costume breaks open in the back, and all these hundreds of spiders shoot out to attack whatever goblin creature that is, jack-o'-lantern, But, and Gwen is trying to talk to Man-Spider, and she calls him Peter. He says, "I'm not Peter. Do you think I am a man? Do you think I can come back from this?" And then he takes off his costume, which, and leaves it in the alley, and I don't know where all the spiders went. But it can't be the end of him because he's over in Spider-Geddon unless this story takes place after Spider-Geddon. I have no idea. 5 minutes, I just thought it was kind of weird that they would steal the origin of, in Swamp Thing, the creatures in the swamp ate Alec, and then became Swamp Thing. And here the spiders who are radioactive eat Peter Parker and become Man-Spider. They know, oh, God. And they look perfectly like, in the costume, it looks like Peter Parker in the costume, except you see where there's little breaks in the costume, you see spiders all over him. So it's weird. And then in Spider-Geddon itself, he makes strange allusions to, the inheritors who eat spiders for their energy, Spider characters, and he says even of this one little kid, that kid over there, he looks kind of enticing like Veal, but I would never eat him like the Inheritors do. Almost make that if he gets mad, he might actually eat somebody. But yeah, they bring out 6 dozen Spider titles. They did the same thing with Infinity War and Arachnite and Soldier Supreme. Don't get me. Yeah, it's Doctor Strange and Captain America mixed together. Yeah, and Arachnite is Moon Knight and Spider-Man, and what was the third one they did? They did a third one. What was it? Oh, Iron Hammer, which was Thor and Iron Man. Yeah, they had to do that. And then there's another book they did called Infinity Warps, where they have even stranger mixes. They have Moon Girl mixed with Squirrel Girl.
That might be interesting.
It's interesting, but is it good is the question.
Well, interesting idea. That's what I don't know if the execution was any good. So.
It wasn't. Don't read Infinity Warps because it's
too bad.
It's cutesy, but is it good is the question.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. Rather than do a 2 or 3 issue series, like with Arachnite or Soldier Supreme. Oh, they did Weapon Hex, which was Wolverine and Scarlet Witch together, or maybe it was X-23 and Scarlet Witch together. I don't know. See, in the new Infinity War, Gamora did not kill half the universe. She folded the universe so people merged together. It was a much better idea. Wasn't it? Wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Because it's kind of stupid. Because you have, instead of Fantastic 2, or Fantastic 4, got 2 because you got, the Thing is orange, but he also is very hot. And Mr. Fantastic can stretch and turn invisible. And the Watcher is mixed with Professor X. Professor X and the Watcher together, and Galactus is mixed with Dr. Doom. Doomactus, yes.
In theory, I guess it sounds okay, but it's like, it's how they execute it once they do it. So.
And She-Hulk is mixed with Black Widow, I think. And Hawkeye is mixed with Hellcat? I don't know. Like I say, all these silly crossovers make your head hurt. But instead of the Thing, he's called Hot Rocks. The burning behemoth of searing stone. Mr. Invisible is the crystal clear and full of cheer. There's the Terrific 2. Yeah. And this one I thought was a bad pun because the Mole Man is mixed with the Master Mold of the Sentinels. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you see anything good coming from Marvel or DC or any other publisher for that matter that's seems good, at least on the surface, coming on the horizon, or are you not aware of anything at this time?
I'll say this for DC. They did publish one really good series in the last year. That was Mr. Miracle. It finished a 12-issue run, and that was the best thing I read from DC in a decade.
Wow.
If you find Mr. Miracle, read it. You'll love it. That was great. From Marvel right now, what I'm thinking is good is the 2 I mentioned with, the Immortal Hulk is very good. Venom is, depends on your taste in the character, but I think it's an interesting retcon. And that much I'll give it. So, but other than that, I'm not. The current Iron Man series is fun to read, but again, it's not in continuity very much with the Avengers, which is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't appear to be. And Jarvis is no longer the Avengers' butler. Instead, Gorilla Man is. Gorilla Man from that. What was that called? It was that Agent. No. Well, he first appeared in that What If story. What if the Avengers were around in the 50s?
Yeah.
And they had, this robot, and they had Gorilla Man and Marvel Boy and 3D Man and that sort of thing, and Venus or Namorita, I forget which. And then they did a book with that where Jimmy Woo was leading it. And that was 10 years ago or more. Well, Gorilla Man is now the Avengers butler, and the Avengers headquarters is in the Arctic or Antarctic, I forget which. And the Celestials gave him a dead Celestial's body, which they're inhabiting. They're making that dead Celestial's body their new headquarters.
Excuse me.
Where they, where the Russian dog lives in the head of the dead Celestial. Nowhere it's called, I think. Yeah, it's a takeoff. It's a take from that. But yeah, so if it's almost a callback to DC. You got a gorilla as the butler for the Avengers. I mean, why didn't Batman ever think of that? Alfred and a gorilla, and then on the cover every third issue, and they would have sold tons.
Purple gorilla, yeah.
You remember Gorilla Boss of Gotham City?
Oh, yeah.
LeGrod? I don't like gorillas. I have a no monkey rule. I won't watch a movie with a monkey or an ape or a chimp or anything. Exceptions of the original Planet of the Apes
Yeah, I was
films.
going to say, I like the original Planet of the Apes movies, but, yeah, it gets a little tiring.
I didn't mind the recent trilogy, but that one Tim Burton was terrible.
Yeah.
But if any other movie, going back to TV with Me and the Chimp or BJ and the Bear or movie or the Clint Eastwood films with the orangutan, no, it violates the no monkey rule.
So no love for Lancelot Link, eh?
I hate. That's my kryptonite right there. I'll turn it. I'll blow up a TV before I watch that.
I don't blame you.
And Lancelot Link, come on. What? No. Yeah, it's as bad as when I was a kid, I thought Cool McCool was a great cartoon, and then I bought it in DVD, and I'm going like, this was shit. And I couldn't watch. I had to say, that's really bad. I can't watch that. No. And I regretted buying that DVD set really fast. Mm-hmm. It's like your childhood says, yeah, Cool McCool was a great cartoon. No, my childhood was wrong.
Yeah.
And once in a while that happens, you know? Yeah. Not everything, is the Herculoids or Space Ghost. Mm-hmm. Those are still great. But Cool McCool was...
Yeah, I amazingly, I never really saw that series, but I bought the DVD too because I believed the hype. I go, oh, creator of the Batman and Chuck McCann. Oh, this must not be bad. It's pretty bad. So I don't even have fond memories as a child of it. So I'm like, okay.
I want to say I did, and then, it turned into not being very good. I'm trying to think of something else from DC that I can recommend.
Okay.
And that's where I'm having a problem. I'd like to say Justice League Dark is good, but it's not really been that. I haven't really liked it very much because they're doing this thing where they want to take magic out of the DC universe and now cause all kinds of problems. The plot doesn't make a lot of sense. But Wonder Woman is the linchpin to fixing things. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. And, so Mr. Miracle was great. What else? Detective was kind of not bad. I don't like the Batman and the Nightwing issue going on. But just is continuity-wise all just terrible because you got multiple storylines running up. You know, you had the totality, then you had the Legion of Doom attacking, then you had the Drowned World crossover thing coming in. So you got really, you're still dealing with the totality thing from the first arc. Then you bring in the Legion of Doom, and then you bring in the world, and all of those has got to be resolved, you know, soon or someday. But because you're running out of characters, you know, and the characters are powerless against. Well, you know what? The next issue, Justice League. Look, it's got Batman versus the Legion of Doom. Batman is in a flying wheelchair and all his limbs are broken. So of course he's going to win because he has a book of matches. I don't know. I'm called back. You know, when all I can say about DC, and I don't like the new Superman very much, and I don't like the new action very much. All I can say about DC is if they collect Mr. Miracle from 2017, 2018, 12-issue series, somebody should be looking at that for a trade or buy the individual issues. It's really, really good. It's funny. It's entertaining, and you won't forget it once you finish it. It does have a good payoff ending.
All right.
With Marvel, the Immortal Hulk is the best thing over there. The Daredevil run has been really good. I'm trying to think of something else that was... The Avengers has been good for the last... since they rebooted it, and it's up to issue 10 or 700, whatever. I'm saying it's good because it also has a lot of humor in it. A lot of humor. And I like the team they have assembled. Continuity-wise, it's off base. I don't think Uncanny X-Men is right now hard to judge because it's only the first issue. The Return of Wolverine is leaving me cold. Don't like Fantastic Four. Blah.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man, now the Amazing Spider-Man is not part of Spider-Geddon right now. Now, this is where you got a continuity problem. Spider-Man, in Spectacular Spider-Man, which is a different book altogether, that's tied in with Spider-Geddon. But Amazing Spider-Man takes place in a different time frame. And that has a story that involves the entire Marvel Universe, but it's in Spider-Man only. And we call the Thieves Guild that here's a retcon. Whenever you stole something and did a major heist, you were supposed to give a portion of your money to the Thieves Guild. And, you know, you dump it into this fountain and, you know, somehow they retrieve it, wet and all. Well, somebody decided to stop doing that, and I don't know why, but then the Thieves Guild, not the Thieves Guild, but somebody who was going against the Thieves Guild, decided to pull off the biggest heist ever. Blink of an eye, they stole Captain America's shield, they stole Daredevil's Billy Club, they stole Thor's hammer, they stole just about every tchotchke that every hero has, Spider-Man's computers, you know, all got stolen. It's the silliest thing you've ever heard of. You know, the Fantastic Four's car, the whole bit, everything. I don't even know if that's part of it, but there's this one room and you see all this gear in it.
Yeah.
And it's a story called Heist. It's an Amazing Spider-Man. It's amusing, I'll say that, because everybody from the Marvel Universe guest stars in the last two issues. I think that's 7 and 8, or 7 anyway. Of their gear guest stars in 8. And Felicia Hardy's back as the Cat, you know, because her dad was a member of the Thieves Guild, and he has backstory on all this. She's the exposition demon in this. But it's not part of Spider-Geddon. The main Spider-Man title is not part of Spider-Geddon, which is spectacular, and that's part of it and all these other spin-off titles, and where that takes place. I don't know where the continuity of Spider-Geddon ties in with Amazing because they're totally ignoring it. Can I recommend? I think Heist as a story for Amazing Spider-Man is entertaining. It's funny and it's fine. I give it a 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, something like that. But Spider-Geddon as a whole, unless you read the previous Edge of Spider-Verse or Spider-Verse thing, you wouldn't. This is. I don't recommend this. It's too. Good Lord, it's information. Too many types running around. It's amusing to see all the different Spider-Men they come up with, but after a while you just go like, okay, where's Spider-Man Man-Thing? You're gonna see Man-Thing became Spider-Man at some point, but done that yet. I mean, you're waiting for it, but because you got Hobie Brown as Spider-Man, you got May Parker as Spider-Man, you got Captain Stacy as Spider-Man. It's too much. Yeah, Captain Stacy is Spider-Man. I'm not kidding about that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they showed where he got bitten, but he's Spider-Man. Another series that I will say that I've enjoyed reading, and it's up to issue 9. I gotta say, Domino is kind of fun to read. Domino, yeah.
Yep.
Not Deadpool, but Domino. I don't like Deadpool stuff much, but the Domino series is kind of good. I say that it's been 9 issues or 8 or 9 issues in. It's been good. The only problem I had with it was they brought in Shang-Chi, Master Kung Fu, for a couple issues, and I don't think he fit in very well. But the book, for the most part, is Domino and her 2 female friends, Diamondback and a superheroine or villain called Outlaw. I don't know her story. I don't know where she's from. I haven't bothered to research her. I could probably wiki her in a half minute. But she has she wears a cowboy hat and she has superpowers. Okay. Know about her. And then the other character, like I say, is Diamondback, and she's had a long history with the Serpent Society and Captain America. And who was she dating for a while? Or somebody else she was associated with in one. But that. Domino's actually been fun to read.
Okay.
Never thought I did. X-23 is okay to read right now. It's nice. It's Laura and her sister Gabby. Don't ask where. Yeah, there's another little Wolverine sister running around, Gabriella. She has 1 claw instead of 2, but she's pretty cool. She's fun. X-23 is. The previous series was better. The more recent series up to issue 4 or 5, it had a bad start. The first 4 issues, X-23 get involved with what do they call them? The Cuckoos, Emma Frost's look-alike girls, and I don't care for those characters, and they're in the first 4 or 5 issues, and they didn't do much, but the most recent issue of X-23 was a lot of fun, and that gave me hope that the series can come back and be halfway decent. Maybe.
All right. Well.
And part of me wants to talk about Supergirl, but it's too dang confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody read the Grant Morrison Green Lantern, but I kind of enjoyed it, I guess. I have to see how it goes for a few issues.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. I'm just, wondering where he's going to go with this.
Yeah.
Definitely it's more has the space cop feel than any Green Lantern book in a long time. So maybe it'll be all right. continuity-wise, it's set in the past, so right now. So it hasn't anything Jeff Johns has done, and the story seems to be taking place a long time ago, back when Hal was a toy salesman. Yeah, way back then. Right before he sold life insurance.
Okay.
Well, he's had some terrible jobs, after being a test pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that guy couldn't catch, any minute, any issue, expect to open it up and see him at the unemployment line, just hoping for,
That might be interesting.
Well, I never understood why they just couldn't give him a job as like a charter pilot or an airline pilot.
Right.
Or maybe a police helicopter pilot. They had, they get to give him these dumb jobs like toy salesman and life insurance. What the? Yeah, it doesn't. That's why reading Green Lantern for some time is just, what are they doing to this guy?
Right.
He's almost 50, and he's scratching for a wage, and he's got a power ring. And I know they're not supposed to use the ring for personal gain, but
maybe make an exception this time. But
well, I think that maybe they do something. Maybe they can write him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you want to ask?
Well, I thank you for the recommendations on different titles. Is there any others that you haven't, briefly, that you want to just kind of lay out there that people should take a look at?
It's fun to read X-Men Black because they've been doing these one-shots about different characters like Emma Frost. They did a one-shot about Mojo. They did a one-shot about Juggernaut. Although, in the backup of the first 5 was a story about Apocalypse that was interesting and might lead into some other bigger storyline down the road. But the one-shots about these, and there was a one-shot about Magneto, and that was issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men Black stuff is, if you like the character, you'll like the story, but I don't know how essential it is to read each one of these one-shots just to get, one writer's take on the character.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed even the Mojo one wasn't terrible. I thought it was funny. Tony Stark Iron Man is fun to read. That's all I'll say about it. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I don't see it. It doesn't fall in line with Avengers continuity that much, but it's read. Right now, Amazing Spider-Man's fun to read. Avengers is fun to read. And West Coast Avengers, I can't say it's fun to read because I'm not liking it. It's too cutesy. Hulk's fun to read. Daredevil's great. Captain America, they rebooted it again. The last 4 issues have been good, but you're going down that one. Then they did a villain reveal in issue 704 or 4, and I almost choked. I'm like, really? So that was disappointing, and I can't really recommend Captain America because it's all fallout from the Cap Hydra storyline, and it's depressing. It's too depressing. So stay away from Captain America unless you really need I need a downer this week. I'm going to read Captain America. I'm too happy. Dang it. Infinity War, wait for a trade. It's Infinity War, which is up to issue 5, is actually fun to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually fun to read because the people who have the stones, what happens with it is there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of dark humor in this. And I thought the 5 issues I've read of it so far have been funny. And then, of course, you get into the folded universe stuff. And there's a bit with Loki in issue 5 that's very funny. And you find out more about the origins of the universe and where the stones come from. I would say Infinity War by itself as a title is good to read. The spin-offs have to, that's another thing. You like Dr. Pepper, you might like, Soldier Supreme. likes Strike Zero, and maybe you like Iron Hammer. But it's not. I'm not saying these aren't for everyone.
Right.
Infinity War by itself, I think you can read it as a standalone, but I don't think the spin-offs really have to be read, unless you're a Marvel completist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right. That's what I'm saying about that. Now there is another Moon Knight title out, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to look into that because it seems kind of interesting, and it's up to 6, and I haven't read it yet, but I want to read it. Well, I see. Not. I'm actually speaking wrong here about this title. About this. I said issue 6. That's not right. This is actually volume 6. And what they did was volume 6 started with number 1, and then when it got to number 15, they went to legacy numbering. So it's now at 200, but it went from volume 6 issue 14 to volume 6 188.
Wow.
You get a headache if you're a collector.
Yes. I've seen that. They jump around all the time, yeah.
So there's like 30 issues there, but volume 6 looks pretty, I think is pretty good on the Moon Knight, but I haven't read it all. And this, part of it was written by Bendis. And then, he left, and I don't, I haven't caught up with it to find out who's writing the later stuff. A guy named Bemis.
Okay.
E-M-I-S. And, but I thought Moon Knight was pretty, I've sampled some of these, and I thought it's pretty good. It doesn't tie in heavily with a lot of, at least currently, it doesn't tie in heavily with a lot of other stuff. So, once again, they've done something good with Moon Knight. Every now and then they do this. So I will have to say, maybe give that a chance, but given that, volume 6 is up about 30 issues, and the numbering is crazy, because they don't even give you, like, the legacy, they're not even doing, like, the legacy numbers like they're doing in Avengers. So, because in Avengers, say Avengers 10, Legacy 700. But they're not doing that with Moon Knight, just as Moon Knight 200. So that continues, down to 188 and then issue 14. Weird. So, like half of Marvel's titles I'm recommending here. DC, I can't. I want to say I recommend Batman, but I don't like what they're doing with that. I didn't like what they did in that recently. Detective was okay. Titans, not so much. Heroes in Crisis, oh crap, that is bad. I'm sorry. That was terrible. Heroes in Crisis it's like Identity Crisis Part 2. It's when I go, why? Why are you doing this to me? It's what it feels like. It feels like I went from Identity Crisis to Heroes in Crisis, and it wasn't a 20-year gap in between, and it still stinks. It still stinks. And maybe Wally and spoilers, Wally and Roy will come back from the dead. I don't know, but Wally disappears for years because of New 52. They bring him back briefly. And then he has to go into Sanctuary because he's having, I guess, emotional issues, and you hardly see him. And Roy goes from, Roy was helping out Jason Todd and the Outlaws, and then they go into, and then Roy leaves after he helps Jason, and then Roy's dead, and all of a sudden, and you're going like, what do you, and then there's Booster Gold and Harlequin fighting in the field, and you're like, I will say this, I hate Booster Gold. I hate Booster Gold, and I hate Booster Booster Gold. The only character I hate more than Booster Gold is the Punisher. So Gold can rot. I would like to see him buried at the bottom underneath the Lazarus pit, saying, if I could just get to that Lazarus pit, I could come back. But no. Of it. And there's 100 feet of adamantium between you and the Lazarus pit, and you can't reach it. Booster Gold. And Harlequin?
Yeah.
They've ruined her. Suicide Squad, make her sexier and give her a big mallet. I'm sorry. I can't stand Harlequin. I can't stand her anymore.
Right.
I loved her in the animated series, and I will always love her in the animated series.
Right.
And the comic I love, but I will not like her in Suicide Squad. Why is she there? And anything else. Heroes in Crisis stinks. And I can't recommend it. I can't recommend the Batman title. Detective's okay. Titans, no. It ties in with Drowned World. Teen Titans, yeah. Teen Titans isn't that bad. I'll give that a look. I was liking Deathstroke for a long time. And then, no. The last couple issues, no, because he's in Arkham Asylum, and I don't know if it's a different writer. I didn't bother to look, but it was terrible. But for 6 issues, he fought Batman, and I thought that was great. Where that falls in the continuity, you'll never find out. And then there was... Now, they did something with Jason Todd. They totally revamping Red Hood and the Outlaws, and Jason is out of Gotham in a new costume, fighting some organized crime thing, and Bruce gave him his blessing, and even though they tried to kill each other an issue before, yeah, right, that happened. So, Red Hood, it's okay. If you're a Jason Todd fan, I don't like what they're doing with Nightwing. If you don't know what they're doing with Nightwing, then your mind is a better place. Action Comics has been kind of iffy. The Superman storyline that Bendis is doing, and Superman it gives you a headache, and I don't know. The Supergirl is kind of... I don't think the person writing Supergirl knows who that character even is. The current issue makes no sense whatsoever. He runs out of solar energy, finds a charging station, plugs it into her costume, and is recharging solar energy. How does she plug it into her costume? What is she plugging it into? And why does at some point, or 2 pages before that, say solar energy reserves 18%? Is solar energy now a power ring? Not very good.
Convenient plot device.
This title right now is a spin-off of the Bendis book, and where they brought Supergirl back. They didn't renumber it, and what she's supposed to be doing is out in space trying to find out where whoever destroyed Krypton came from and why he's doing it. That's her job. Because he's in the Phantom Zone, she can't ask him, so she's out in space at Krypto, and she's trying to find out where this guy came from. And she went to a charging station to get more solar energy. And in the book, she's in a red outfit, and somehow it changes into a regular Supergirl suit, and you go, how did you do that? And you don't even show, and you go for an outfit with a red hood, and it's all red. The Supergirl emblem and everything is different shades of red. And then all of a sudden she reveals herself in a regular Supergirl suit, and you're like, well, how did you do that? Did your power ring just suddenly change your suit colors? Oh, wait, you don't have a power ring, even though it says you're at 18%. Can't recommend the Supergirl title. I don't know. There's a lot of other DC stuff out there, the Sideways stuff. I haven't looked at it. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know. I don't read it. I'm sure there's other titles that somebody saying, that's great, you should read it. No, I haven't read it because you can't buy everything. There's no way. Just like you can't read watch all 600 TV shows on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't, or Netflix or whatever. And while I do know a lot about television shows, and I'm going to say this up front, I haven't watched a television series since 2014.
Wow.
The only, I've watched a couple that are on DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But I don't watch TV anymore, and I haven't watched a series on network television, with the exception. What I've watched in the last 4 years has been one season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Mm. And that's what I watched on TV itself, and some of the Alienist miniseries, which I would like to get on DVD or Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. But the only other thing I've got that's recent is Rick and Morty, and I came across a great series called Modus. Mm-hmm. I think it's foreign, and I thought that was really good. I haven't watched it yet, but I looked at the trailers for it and some stuff online. But my knowledge of television goes from the 50s up until the early 2000s. Better, I don't do current television because A, there's too much of it, and B, I don't have the time.
Yep, same with me. Well, let's leave the TV talk and everything else for next time. I can talk to you again. But, you know, we had a good conversation about the comics. You enlightened me on a lot of different things. And I want to thank you for being my guest today.
Well, I hope I've, brought up some good story stuff and, talked about something interesting for you. I've done some other podcasts elsewhere, but that was for movies and TV and music. So this is my first time I've talked about comic books and ever on a podcast. And I know I've went back and forth in different series, but I'm trying to. There's a lot of stuff out there, just saying what I think is worth looking at, and you can. Maybe something else. Somebody will like something different. I will say there was a series called Thanos Wins or something a while back. That was really good. And then it turned into Cosmic Ghost Rider, which I haven't read all of yet. And Cosmic Ghost Rider is the Punisher as Ghost Rider, but I haven't read all of that. But there was a Thanos series that ran for like 16 issues and an annual, and that was really good. Mm-hmm. So just that I forgot to add that before, but that's it. This has been interesting. So I'm grateful for the chance to go on and on and on. I mean, we could have talked about Italian horror or film noir.
That's why I leave it all free form. I never know where it's going to go. Sometimes we can always set up a time to chat again and talk about a different subject. So
all of those are stuff in my stuff I know about. So
all right.
Heck, I can talk for 2 hours about classic funk rock here too, but I'm not going to do that with you right now because we're going to hang up and go away. But my is kind of extensive on all these formats and genres.
Okay.
And I live with my father-in-law. I'm 58, and I got nothing else to do but soak in a lot of meat.
Well, I thank you for making it entertaining and informative. So that's what really is half the battle on podcasts. Is like, is it going to be interesting? So I hope the listeners out there got interested in some of these things. I certainly was interested and enlightened because I don't read a lot of different comic books nowadays, but I do go to my local store, so I'll start investigating a few things since of what you were talking about. So.
Well, the biggest thing on my mind right now, and it still bugs the heck out of me, is why is Namor this way in that book and this way in the other book? That's driving me crazy.
Well,
I know. I want to. The other guy in Avengers is actually an evil clone. Yeah. But that of all the stuff I've talked about, if there's one little thing that's bothered me lately, it's that.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. And maybe the next time we speak, it'll be resolved. So that's the best I can say. All right?
it's a continuity thing.
Yes.
Just, when you get embedded with continuity, like DC used to be and Marvel used to be, and then they all, well, DC was a little bit, but Marvel always had that tight continuity. And then when there's like 6 Avengers titles and Wolverine's in 8 of them, wait, that didn't make any sense. But,
right.
then there's no continuity anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said 6 and 8, but you know what I meant.
I knew what you meant, yeah. All right. Well, I thank you again, and we'll talk soon, and keep in touch on Facebook and everything else. So, all right.
We shall do that, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening, and thank you again, Alan Bryan, for being my special guest. Episode number 13 will be coming soon. If you'd like to comment and or be a guest on this podcast, please drop me a line at funideas.mark@gmail.com. Become a patron of Fun Ideas Productions. If everyone listening just contributed $1 a month, that would be tremendous help. This has been the Fun Ideas Podcast. This is Mark Arnold speaking. This episode is copyright 2018, Fun Ideas Productions. Thank you very much, and have a good night.